30 minutes of power.
Welcome to Top 30 Minutes of Power, a podcast dedicated to encourage, educate, and inspire godly women to pursue their passions, with hosts Jory O'Neill and Nicole Salter. Thanks for coming. Let's get ready to power up. Welcome back to another lovely episode of 30 Minutes of Power, your one-stop shop for all things inspirational, motivational, and encouraging. I am Jory O'Neill, as always, with my lovely co-host, Nicole Salter. And in case you don't know, you gonna learn today, people. We got Shernita Brown on the podcast, and we are here to ask her many questions concerning her new book coming out, The Breakthrough Diary, My Healing Journey Through Prayer. Wow. I love the title, but I love even more the backstory. So we're going to jump right into this. Shernita, thank you so much again for joining us this evening. How are you doing, friend?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I'm so glad that Monday is over and I get to just enjoy my evening talking about what I love.
Amen. Love that. Love that.
And so we try. Super dope.
Well, you know, we just started. So, I mean, I'm encouraged already, Nicole. I don't know. How about you? I don't know. How you feeling? How you feeling, Nicole?
Like you've been doing this.
Oh, listen, we've been doing this since January, coming up on here every Monday, pouring into people, loving up on them, sharing with them our stories and the pitfalls, the heartaches, and the things that we do to overcome them. So this is a great fit. And I'm so grateful for Dr. Elsie, recommending you to the show. She was on with us last time, and she said that you had an incredible story to share, and I'm super excited to share your story with our listeners. Nicole, how you feeling this evening? I mean, we got Shernita. Whoa!
I am very excited. It's always exciting to meet other people, especially other women that are doing big things, and especially when they're doing big things, not only for themselves, but to help other people and most importantly for God, right? So I am excited. I am pumped. I was telling you before, I was like at my computer, like, oh my goodness, I'm falling asleep. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I heard she was coming. I was like, oh, I'm up. I'm awake. I'm ready. We can do some jumping jacks. I might be able to do a cartwheel. Like, let's go. I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's get back into that PE bag. Let's do it.
Yes.
Listen, we gotta share the origin story of how Nicole and I met once. I don't think we've ever done that. We've never done that. We should. All right, not today. Not today. Today is about Shernita.
Podcast, yes.
Today's about Shernita. We gonna make it about Shernita. All right, listen, friends. Shernita's book. I have to read to you guys a synopsis because So the story that you thought nobody cared about, nobody understood, nobody would relate to, is the same story that God will change and use to set others free. Wow. Like, how could you not want to read that book? I mean, share with us, please. Where did this book come from? Like, this sounds like a book that was birthed through pain.
Oh my goodness.
Accurate?
Absolutely. Like you hit the head on the nail. So I literally wrote the book during a season where I was going through a Crohn's, just a season of chronic pain, a season of learning how to cope, grieve, and rebuild my identity around just not being a Crohn's patient, but being a person that's like living with Crohn's. And so during that time, nobody really knew what Crohn's was. I didn't know what Crohn's was. And so I was really on a mission to figure out how to continue going without being I was in a place of depression, right? But I didn't want to stay there. And so I exhausted all of my support, all of my I guess healthcare team and everything. Like I did all of the steps that we normally take when you get like a diagnosis or something you never heard of, right? But all of that wasn't sufficient for me. And so of course, I turned to God because I felt like he was the only one that really had my back, that really understood what I was experiencing. And he heard me. Like it was many days of like crying, depression, wanting to just really give up. And I knew from those moments that I had a purpose in that. And so I would start to, in my quiet time, write prayers, just very personal prayers, like how I was feeling in that moment out on paper. And it was like love letters to God. Well, I won't say love letters because they were really like cries for help to God, like, get me out this place. Even on days where I felt good, I would write about it. And on days where I felt bad, I would write about it. And so the book is like basically my journey from the dark place to the light. And I'm still walking through the light. I'm not completely there. I still have days where I feel like, I'm going to be set back, but I will remember how far I've come. I'll read some of the things I wrote in that book and just kind of, be in a place of overwhelm and gratitude, because I know that if he did it for me then, he'll do it for me today and tomorrow. And so I went through other things too. Crohn's was the main motivation to like get me to this place. But I also went through ectopic pregnancy. And I also went through what was it? Opioid addiction from chronic pain. And so just dealing with all of that between 2019 to 2021, it was a lot. It was a lot. And so yeah, I didn't intend to put a book out. I didn't intend to publish my prayers. But as I started to meet other women that were going through the same different situations, but similarly, encountering God in their own life and coming to me for advice, we feel like sometimes that we're not validating other people. Like people will show you that like God is using you, even though it doesn't feel like it, just by calling you and asking you for advice, or just by calling you and asking you to pray for them. And so it really inspired me to move forward with the book. And so that's what I did.
Woo! My word. You touched on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. I'm gonna go back to the beginning, and I want to ask more about you. How long did you suffer, or have you been suffering from Crohn's disease?
So I was diagnosed in 2015. And I actually had my daughter in 2014. So immediately after having my baby, I was diagnosed with Crohn's, and that's been 8 years now.
Okay, and so for those who don't know what Crohn's is, could you give us a dumbed down version of a couple symptoms, or what would classify an individual as having Crohn's versus IBS, or let me use proper irritable bowel syndrome, or maybe acid reflux, or what makes Crohn's Crohn's?
Yes, that's a great question, because for a long time I was trying to like get out of it, like, and try to dumb it down to maybe I just need to take some, diuretics and I'll be okay. But the significant differences. Okay, so Crohn's is an inflammatory bowel disease that affects your colon. Really, it affects your entire digestive system. So that's from your esophagus all the way to your rectum. And so everyone has different symptoms. It really just depends on your flare up and your experiences. But for me, my experiences where I was very bloated. A lot of times my food would not digest. It would literally sit at the top of my small intestine. And then also I would have diarrhea a lot. I lost a lot of weight. And so what that looked like was I could eat anything like salad or a bag of chips. And I would have like stomach pain as well. So it would be the stomach pain, I would classify it as like, I don't really know if you all have ever had a stomach virus, but it's like, it feels like my stomach was on fire. Like I would feel like my stomach was on fire, and that would explain the inflammatory part. And so I used to eat ice a lot. And so people are like, why you eat ice? But I was like, because it makes my stomach feel soothing. But and so the chronic pain for that is like cramping, really bad cramping. And then you also have diarrhea or constipation. Rectal bleeding is a really big difference. So I don't really know all the symptoms for IBS, but I know that the rectal bleeding and the place where my stomach was inflamed basically was the confirmation. And so, of course, you'll have to do the necessary preventative measures like get a colonoscopy or I think they do an EGD to kind of look and see like what your digestive system looks like, if it's inflamed or not. And they'll determine if it's IBS or if it's IBD, which could be Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. Because I was actually diagnosed as it being ulcerative colitis at first, and I was on some pills that only took away the inflammation in my small intestine. But I would still have pain in my large intestine, which is like down at the bottom of your stomach where your pelvis area is in your belly button. So I'm like, okay, why are y'all giving me these big old horse pills to take 2 a day? And I'm still in pain, And so I ended up going to get a second opinion. I went to a different doctor and they did the same process, but they had a different diagnosis and a better result, basically, because they told me that, in fact, my inflammation was in my large and small intestine. And so, I went from being on pills to actually getting an infusion in my arm. I want to say it was like every 2 weeks, but it helped. And it changed my life. And it gave me hope that I don't really have to suffer, but I have to make a decision to choose to take care of myself.
And so I want to understand the parallel between what your lifestyle was like pre-Crohn's and then post-Crohn's. Like, so for those who don't know and haven't had the opportunity maybe to read the bio, the delicious bio that we're providing in the show notes on you, what is your occupation?
So right now I am medical records clerk at West Cancer Center. And I also am hold on, my daughter was right here. It's okay, baby, I'll be in a minute. Okay. And so, my baby's here. And so I also have a nonprofit for women with chronic illnesses as well. And so I'm a founder of Incredible Moms Alliance. And we currently meet once a month and we do a support group and we talk about these things. We talk about, how whatever diagnosis we are living with, how it affects our lives, how it has changed our dynamic in our family, how to be empowered patients and all of the different things that comes with just the life changes. And so that's what I do.
That's amazing. And so this nonprofit was birthed out of the pain from your diagnosis.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Because I felt I didn't have anyone that understood really what I was going through. And of course you have like your family and friends, they do their best to be there. But if they don't know really how to support you, then you start to go on this journey of how can I get them to understand me, you know? But then not only that, you start to, especially going to the doctor, you sit in the waiting room and you meet people that are in there for the same things. And then you start to, you know, build a relationship and you start to, you know, learn other methods of treatment. You start to learn other resources that you can connect to. And that's what happened. And so, but nothing really was on the lines of hope that I was finding. No, everything that I saw was like depressing and debilitating. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to just sit and sulk every day. I don't want to. So I want to like build myself up. And in the process, I want to build other people up because I know like the more I shied away from it, the more God was telling me like, no, this is what you're going to do. I don't care if you don't feel like it. I don't care if you don't see me working it out. Like I'm working it out for you to do this. And once I gave him my yes, everything really started to like fall into place.
It only takes a yes. That's it.
One
That's
yes.
it.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's why we here. That's why we here right now. It took one yes. God asked me, I asked Nicole, and here we are. Because there was a lot happening. There was a lot happening on the inside of both of us. Only God knew. Only God knew. And this hasn't been just a safe space for other women to congregate, but it's been a safe space for us. And to use our pain, use our story, use our testimony to help other women to find encouragement and empowerment. Because as you said, like there's a difference between something happening to you and then something happening for you. Right.
Yes.
And that switch of mentality, it shifts not only the amount of hope that you can possibly muster around a subject, but it also shifts the ability that you have to serve those around you.
Absolutely.
So I want to take a bit of a detour and I want to talk about motherhood because I can't imagine. I have 4 small children. And I say small, my oldest is 8. And there's
Okay.
3 more of him. So
not small at all.
I can't imagine suffering and going through pain and test after test and misdiagnosis and lack of diagnosis in raising a child. What was that like?
Honestly, it was hard. It was overwhelming. And a lot of times she would be the thing that I needed to keep going. And so I know at the time she was a baby, but I still was a baby. So like I was 24 and I didn't really, I was excited to be a mom, but that excitement shifted to a lot of different things when I had to like deal with a life-changing experience, like 2 life-changing experiences at one. And so my daughter has literally grown up and seen this entire process. She's been in the waiting room with me, the emergency room with me. She's been in the bed with me when I've been in bed all the time, you know? And so it has strengthened me. It has made me look at motherhood as more of a gift because I know that God chose this season not just for me to endure, but for her to learn something from it. My mom, when I was growing up, my mom was dealing with diabetes. And I remember a library of books about, you know, diet change, about, you know, blood sugar. She was obsessed with trying to figure out what was going on with her body. And I found myself falling into that same hole. And so what I feel like God did is He's bringing me to a place of breaking that generational curse of illness in my bloodline. And so the way that I'm dealing and enduring my life, I'm praying that my daughter is going to be able to stand firm in whatever life throws her way, whether it be in her health, whether it be in her family or whatever, because she knows that, like, mama believe God gonna take care of it and nothing else, you know. And so that's kind of, it's been a journey for both of us.
And you mentioned, and I know a lot of people that they try to shy away from the topic of miscarriage and, you know, loss of life.
Yeah.
But it does something to you as a woman. It does something to you to carry life even for a short while and against your choices not be able to hold that child. Um and so if you're able to, I want to briefly talk about it. I've had 3 miscarriages myself. Two at 12 weeks and one
Mm-hmm.
at 6 weeks. And so each of the miscarriages, there was a heartbeat prior to, um, you know, miscarrying. So I also teach health, and so when I try to explain to my students like what an atopic pregnancy is, they're always like, "But like, don't they need to like meet up in a fallopian tube, miss? Like, how does that?" I'm like, yes, that's where they meet. He's like, and then they supposed to fall out, right? Like, he's supposed to like go chill up in the uterus for like, you know what I'm saying, like 9 months, right, miss? I'm like, yes, that is what's supposed to happen. They're like, like,
They're trying to
so
make sense.
they try to make sense of it, right? Because they see the diagrams, and so at what point did you know, one, that you were pregnant, and two, that something was wrong with this pregnancy?
So I was going in for a regular pap smear, actually. And she had came back in and told me that I was pregnant from the urine sample, from the urine test. And I was excited, you know, and I was shocked and excited. So that the whole overjoy, you know, and
Was
then
was this your first?
no, this was after my daughter. This was like, I want to say 2019. So this was recently, not too far. And so, but yeah, and I was in a relationship, so I was happy and I was excited, and I really was like, you know, am I finna do this again? You know, but that's how I put my mind to, you know, prepare. And I went back for the blood test because I had to go in and, you know, they draw your blood and all that, and they want to see like how many I don't know the correct term for it, but you're supposed to accumulate more blood cells when they draw your blood. And so when I went back the first time, everything seemed normal. And I didn't get a phone call. You know, when you get a phone call from your doctor, you're like, oh, Lord, let me take this in the other room. So I went back again for another blood test, and that's when I got the phone call. So it was regularly scheduled visits to see my OB and to just, you know, take my blood and see what we're going to do about, you know, how far I was. I think that's what she was trying to determine, like how far in the pregnancy that I was. And so, but the second time I went to draw blood, she called me and she was saying that my blood count did not increase, but that it was the same as the first time. And, you know, I'm like, okay, that's fine. What does that mean? And she was telling me that it could be concerning because if this was a normal pregnancy, I would have double the blood count. So I was like, okay. And I had to go back in.
How far apart were your appointments? Like
They were
from the
like
first
2 weeks.
appointment and then 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. And so, and then I went back, 2 weeks later, she told me to come back, and I did another blood test, and it was the same. And so this process literally lasted for about a month and a half. I was learning at the same time that, your body's going to do what it want to do, because obviously you can't predict what your blood's going to say, but I'm still pregnant. So I'm still having hormones. I'm still emotional. I'm still going through the motions. And, I didn't really know how to feel. Like, some days I felt like the doctors were playing with me by telling me that it was going down. But then in the middle of the month, I want to say, because like I said, it's a month and a half process, but it was every 2 weeks that I was going back. And so one of those times it went up, and I got excited. And I was thinking, like, okay, maybe we can reverse this, because they had already spoke to me about terminating the pregnancy. But it was like after that conversation, she was telling me that it had went up a little bit, but it still wasn't enough. And so, but I still got hopeful, because I was thinking, I don't want you to kill a baby that could possibly be a healthy pregnancy. So I don't want to go through with it if we're not sure. And so it was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of frustration. It was a lot of disappointment. And I really didn't know, So after that appointment, I went back again, and she told me it was still going down. So she suggested that I go ahead and terminate the pregnancy, because she didn't want me to be in a place where I would have to be admitted to the emergency room for the egg busting my tube. And I went ahead and I went through with it. So I actually took the pill to terminate the pregnancy, and it was devastating, and it was very painful. And I was, I don't know how I felt, but in my mind, because like I said, it wasn't a technical miscarriage, like how we know miscarriages to be, but I felt like my body went through a miscarriage. And I think it was because of the emotions, and it was because of like the back and forth, all of those things that you deal with. And then also, after the termination of the pregnancy, I was like depressed. And so I felt like, I don't really know how, what is it when you're in depression after you have the baby? I can't even think of the word. Postpartum. Yeah. I felt like I was experiencing postpartum depression, even though I didn't have the baby here. And I really couldn't explain it. But when I was writing, some of those moments were the confusion. Like I would want to be around family and friends, but I would push them away because I didn't want to be bothered at all. It was like a mixed emotion of wanting support, but then not wanting to be bothered, because I was so devastated that my body I felt like it had just betrayed me, And so it was very scary in the moment to just have to deal with that. And so, yeah, I definitely didn't expect to have an ectopic pregnancy in my lifetime. And of course, no woman ever expects that.
At what point did you say to yourself, I cannot wallow in this depression? Like, I understand that this was a horrible thing that happened to me, and God has a reason for everything, but I can't stay like this. I have to bounce back from it. At what point did you have that conversation with yourself?
So I actually had an experience when I was in the bathtub one day, and I was ready to let go. I was ready to give it up, and God spoke to me and was telling me, like, no, you're going to live. In the midst of me trying to end it, I was like, I'm just going to sit here and see what happens. And then, like, I heard God say, like, you will not die. And I immediately thought of all the people that would possibly be my daughter's caretaker. And I felt like, no, I can't do that to her right now. And that it was like, I felt selfish. And immediately my mind shifted from, this is not about me. I got to snap out of it. I got to get this together and get it under control, because someone's looking at me, and that someone is my daughter. And I just started to like cry, and just like started to just ask God, how can I change? How can I get out of this dark place? And worship was a big thing for me. I would worship every day, and I would always feel, like joy from my worship.
Wow, a lot of people don't understand the power of music, Christian music and secular music. I find that even myself in my journey with Christ, I'm more receptive to worship than I am just reading scripture all the time. Music is a very strong tool that can definitely change our lives. There were some interesting things you said, and I wrote them all over my desk. You decided to say yes and not live in depression. That is a miracle in its own, because I feel like a lot of people in the world, their mind is the one thing that keeps them where they are. All of the dreamers that are like, oh, I wish I had this and I wish I had that. Yeah, but you've already conditioned yourself to believe that you can't do it. And so because you've conditioned yourself to believe that you can't do it, you don't even try. You just stay and wish that you did, or wish that you had. So that was very powerful, very strong, very touching, to know that even when you were down and in this depressive space, you still found the energy to say, no, we are not accepting this for the rest of our lives, and we are going to get up and make it happen. So I applaud you for that. I love it. It's very encouraging to those that are going to listen later, to know that you don't have to give up. There are things you can do. The internet has so much information. There are things you can do. There are people you can find. You make it happen. Make it happen.
Absolutely. And I feel like when we're in those moments, I know for a fact that God is coming to bring you back. And so it's always some type of encounter that you'll experience. Like for you and me, it may be music. God has spoken to me through music in so many moments. And it doesn't even have to be deep, but he knows your heart. If he knows that music will get your attention, he's going to put a song on and you're going to be all in it. You're going to start thinking deep, because wow, I wasn't even thinking that, but okay, the song is what I need right now. And he does that, if you're a person that you need to hear it from somebody, he'll bring someone to you and confirm something, and a lot of times when we have to believe that it's possible, and we have to want more out of life, because sometimes that could be the hardest thing for people to get out of the darkness, is that they don't have hope or anything that they feel like they can live for. And so it may be just, something small that will change your mindset about your life in general. And I think that when we start to look for those things, that's when they'll be revealed, And I think that when we build a community around the awareness of depression, and because our community, even though we're talking about mental health a lot more now, it's still stigma around it. In our households and even at work, like there are still not enough benefits at work that will contribute to mental health and the stress that we endure every single day. And so I feel like as we start to build that awareness in the community, more people will, find those success stories and those testimonials and all of those, like things that they need to get around light and love and joy, peace. Like, it's hard to find it because like the enemy's hiding it, but we gotta, like, us kingdom work, like warriors, have to put it out that God loves you, that peace is your portion, that like health is coming and healing is coming, and it's not just going to come like now, but it's going to come, it's already here. It's already yours. Yeah. And so, I think that's what also made me think about it in that way too, was like, I kept getting prophecies of like that I'm healed. And I was like, okay, if God is telling this person that I'm healed and he's telling me in my quiet time that I'm healed, that I can't keep thinking I'm not, I have to believe it with my own heart that I'm healed. And yeah.
That goes back to that whole mindset thing, right? What you believe about yourself is what you are. And my husband and I, every year we build a Christmas town. And this year he couldn't, his mind just wouldn't work. Like, he's like, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to do it. And I'm like, look, it's already like December 1st is tomorrow. Like, we need to get this town up because I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be building the town until December 20th. And then I only got a week to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the town now. And so I went and I did a few things on the table, and he's like, oh, I don't know. My head is not coming together. I'm not creative enough. And I was like, well, you need to get yourself together because I'm creative and I know I could do it. And he looked at me and he's like, are you saying I'm not creative? I said, no, you said that. I never said you're not creative. You said you're not creative. I'm telling you, I'm creative. And I could make it happen. But what we think of ourselves, that's what it is. And what I was trying to show him, what I am trying to show him, it's, of course, it's going to be a life lesson, but I'm trying to explain to him, like, I understand that your brain is not coming to, and it's normal. Sometimes it happens, right? But it doesn't mean that we can't take things out of the box and put it on the table. After you put it on the table, it's not there permanently. You move it around, you fix it up. And so we put the train tracks on the table first, and he was like, I don't know if I like that design. And so he got upset and he went and sat on the sofa, and me and my son took everything apart and put everything back together. He was like, no, mommy, I don't like that one. We took it apart, we put it back together. And now we have a train set on the table and it's set. And he saw it and he loves it. And now he's like, okay, I think my mind is working. Tunnels can go here, tunnels can go there. And I'm like, all you got to do is start, right? In everything, all you have to do is start. So I'm just blown away by your story, by everything that we spoke about today, because you know what? Encouraging yourself and getting that strength from others around you is the most important thing in life. And that is what will make you start. That is what will make you get up and make things happen.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think that's why I started the support group, because I just love being around other women that can empower me and I can empower them. Like, we're pouring in each other. And I mean, the fact that they look forward to the support group is enough for me to keep doing it. It's enough for me to keep researching more ideas for us to do things together, and more, strategies and resources for us to like get back to who we were before we were diagnosed with whatever.
And I find that interesting because what I feel like for me, this whole year has been a lesson on kind of doing exactly what Nicole and her family did with that train table. Like, God is like, I don't want this here anymore. I need you to take it out of the box. I need you to stop your limited thinking, take it out of the box. Now I need you to take it apart. I need you to put it back together. Nah, we're not done. Take it apart again. Put it back together. One more time. Take it apart again.
Oh,
And
good.
I feel like that is our cycle. Like, people talk about seasons. I think God wants us to be in this cycle of life where he's like shedding away the old things that no longer serve us and then bringing us into this newness. And so I want to challenge you to challenge the women in your support group. Like, stop looking for that old woman because she's dead. She's gone. Let's work on building this new woman who God has allowed us to take apart so he can put back together anew. That is what this year has been about for me. And I think for 2023, like, that's been my big epiphany. Like, I'm no longer looking to the things that no longer serve me. For what? God is like, no, Jory, I need you to come out of the box. You are not like the rest of those humans. You are not like everybody else. These are the reasons I gave you, the challenges I gave you. This is why I gave you the struggles I gave you. You're not like everybody else. Not that you're better than them, but you're different. And you're different for a reason. And I want you to remember that difference. So when you get ready to fall back into those old patterns, into those old ways, I want you to remember that you're different because I made you different. So get out of the box. Get out of the box. Pull yourself apart so I can put you back together anew. And so, Shernita, I'm so grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for blessing us and sharing your story. Thank you for your vulnerability and your heart. I commend you. When we're done here, I got some homies I want to connect you with in Memphis. You're located in Memphis, right?
I am.
Yes, I got some homies I want to send your way. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Yeah, I was just
That's
down there
great.
like a couple weeks ago.
Where y'all from?
Oh, we don't listen, people. We just met. We just met. Before I push record, we just met. I just learned how to say her name. Right before the podcast started. I'm in New York. She is in Florida. We all over though. Love is all over. You know, the love, it extends far and near. But yeah, me and my husband went down to Tennessee to celebrate our 11th year anniversary, and we liked it. We enjoyed it. He's a big New Yorker. So I don't know if we moving down there anytime soon. I'm trying to get him to come out the box. That's like, baby, come out the box. Like, I'm gonna make this whole internet job thing blow up, baby. I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and then we can go wherever we want to. I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, so yeah, I do want to send some people your way because I think they would love to be a part of what you're doing. Definitely, I think they would love to be a part of what you're doing. So good, so exciting. I have to end it though. I don't want to, but I have to. But I have one question as we end. And honestly, Nicole or Shernita, either one of you could answer this. If you were given advice to any woman about the single greatest thing that they could do to speed up the process of healing or to speed up the process of, I guess, reestablishing their wellness, what would that be? Single greatest piece of advice you can give a woman looking toward finding healing and wholeness.
I would say first, you need to understand what happened, where the devastation came from. And then you need to make a plan, like physically write out a plan of how to move forward. And after you write out that plan of how to move forward, you pray and you ask God to show you where you're moving forward, and you document all of your victories. Document all of your victories so that you see where you were, you see where you came from, and you see where you're going.
Yes. Yes. And I would say that all of what she said, and then also, first you have to accept where you are. Acceptance will bring understanding. And so once you accept where you are, then you'll be able to see what God wants to do with what you have. Because sometimes we feel like when we're in a place of, lack or pain, that God is not there, but he is there. And he's trying to show up for you in ways that nobody else will, even though you're looking for them to. And so once you accept where you are, then you'll be able to see God move for you, and you'll be able to build a relationship with him out of the pain, and you'll find your purpose. You'll find so much more.
Also, another thing that Shernita said was she was in the shower when she heard God speaking to her. Listen, showers are magical. There are times where if I'm depressed, I will take 10 showers a day because in the shower is when everything happens. In the shower is where my best ideas come in. And I have, like, in my shower, mind you, I'm 40 years old. In my shower, I have markers where I write down my ideas on the wall because the greatest ideas come in the shower. No, they are not for my children. They are for me. Okay, the greatest ideas come in the shower. Find that place. If the place where God speaks to you the most is through worship songs, use it. If God speaks to you the most through looking at videos, use it. Reading your Bible, use it. In the shower, use it. Find out where that sacred place is and use it. Use it so that you can get closer to God. Use it so that you can get clarity in your life, in your mind, and you can begin to move forward from where you are.
I love all that. I like to try to summarize. There's a lot of words. I'm gonna give it a try. So what I heard you say was accept, because acceptance leads to understanding. After you understand where you are, create a plan. After you create a plan, you got to pray about this plan. After you pray about this plan, you have to open your eyes to be able to see where God is taking you. And then when he says go, move.
Go.
That's what I heard. That's
Amen.
what I received. I mean, if y'all got something else from what y'all heard, I would love to hear about it in the comment section, in the chat. There's a chat. There's a chat on the YouTube channel. There's a chat, I'm sure. Yes, you've mentioned it, things there before. That's beautiful. So two books, all right, that are gonna come from this podcast right here. All right. So Shernita, your next book is Saying Yes to God, Even When Your Body Says No. Okay, that's your next book.
I received it.
I claim that. And Nicole, your second book, after you know which one you're supposed to be writing now, you know which one you're supposed to be writing. The Greatest Ideas Come in the Shower. I need a book. I need a book about this magic marker session in your shower. I need a book. I need details. I want samples. I need how to create an ideal funnel.
Place.
Yes.
How to what now? Say what now?
How to create your sacred place.
Ooh, how to create your sacred place, aka The Greatest Ideas Come in the Shower. Boom. Boom. That's your subtitle right there. Boom. All right, that was free. Okay. I'm just saying that was free. Just for the free. Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been dope. I'm super excited for your book. Where can we cop this book, Shernita? Please tell us.
So I'm going to share a link on my page, on my Facebook page, in the next week or so. I'm still waiting to get the actual hard copy so that I can look through it, thumb through it, make sure it's all good. But when I drop that link, be looking out for it on my page. I'm going to share it really soon.
All right. So if y'all don't follow this podcast, you better, so you can find out when Shernita's book is dropping. Oh my goodness. Listen, people, this has been another wonderful episode of 30 Minutes of Power with your host, Nicole Salter, Jory O'Neill, and our new friend, Shernita Brown. We will see y'all right back here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Enjoy, ladies, and go be an empowered woman using your power to empower others. Peace.
Thank you for listening. We pray you have been empowered by the message. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation, join our free Facebook group, AZ Iron Sharpens Iron. Every Monday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, meet us back here for another session of empowerment. Share this episode with another woman who needs to be empowered. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, be an empowered woman using your power to empower others.
30 minutes of power.